Hi, and welcome to the Blackout Test podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we are live on presumably a Tuesday. I'm getting my days mixed up. The show I work for, we just switched to a 5-day working week from Wednesday to Saturday. So Sunday, so now time is just a meaningless thing that applies to everyone else but me. The only reason I think I know this is a Tuesday is because we scheduled this weeks in advance. It's a big day for us.
Yes.
We have two very special guests on the show with us. First time they've been on the show, but I feel like if you're a fan of podcasting and Black people, you already know them.
Yes.
But it's Brittany Luce and Eric Eddings, the duo known for the podcast for Colored Nerds, and then The Nod, and then for Colored Nerds.
You got the trajectory right for what it's worth. That's exactly how I felt.
Best way.
How y'all doing?
Honestly, I'm doing good. So happy to be here. This is
so happy to be here.
Yeah,
I gotta let y'all know though. You know, it's funny because we were so excited when y'all reached out. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah. Oh, you might. I was wondering.
2017. I don't know if you remember this. 2017. We were starting to go from making for Colored Nerds, as you know, our side hustle, into making the Not full time, and we were reaching out to people who hosted Black podcasts to be like, hey, because the company that we were at, they weren't at that time. They didn't have a lot of resources or will to market toward Black people.
Wasn't a lot of comps.
Despite our wasn't a lot of comps, especially not to them. So we emailed you guys actually to see if maybe
really.
Yes.
Oh my god, I don't know.
And you were like, I'm gonna need some. You're like, look, maybe we could talk about us, like maybe having you on or something like that. But or even just to send out a tweet, you were like, y'all gotta have some episodes under your belt. I was like, hey, I sent you the first episode.
We're just some wayward Blacks out there trying to make it.
Yeah, so we were just happy because now we feel like we made it because you invited us on. So I was like, yeah.
I don't even remember. I don't remember that.
Shout out to ADHD.
Same.
Yeah. Now it feels like it was a power move, and as if we are somebody. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah. We'll get back to you, but
I tried to say no. We're not. But it's one of those things where. Because when you do a podcast, I'm pretty sure you guys know this too. Once you do a podcast, people just bombard you sometimes. Yeah. And when you because me and Roger, we actually go look. We actually be like, okay, let me see. And we look and we be like, oh, you need to get. And the thing is, it's not being rude, but it's one of those things where we need to be sure you're gonna stick with it.
Well, we've been burned a few times. Like we used to just be like, come on. And then the person would get there and be like, what we need to do is start the revolution.
Yes, talking about alkaline water and stuff. I'll be looking at Roger like, what the hell is this?
We could use a revolution. I mean, it's maybe happening in other parts of the world, but like, Lord knows, I don't know. We could use some change here.
Get your revolution on. I just don't know that I want to start it on my show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
also, you don't know any of the tenants. You finding out in real time. It might be something you don't even bang with like that. So
and it was. I mean, we were finding out live. This is not a joke example. Brother was like, listen, we're gonna kill these white people. I got the
I remember that show. And we were because the thing is, y'all, we've been around so long that we've actually, like Roger said, we used to be really open, and all our episodes, all 3,000 plus episodes is out there. So it's one of those things where you can go back and you can listen. I don't remember what episode it is, but it was real time. I think we were even live because me and Roger was doing live before it was. Now we pre-Skype live. Well, we used to have to take the telephone and put it to the speaker and let it record live. Like we were old school. We was like, we first did an episode. We was like, nigga, how we gonna get this on iTunes? I don't know either, nigga. It's easy now. Now you can pick up your phone, press record, and send it, and the shit goes up everywhere.
That is
so. Well, shout out to the technology. Yeah, I appreciate the advancements. Yeah,
and also like it's funny because we've always listened to y'all, so I'm like I know that was the ADHD talking.
It's all good.
Yeah, I definitely would have had y'all on.
We're just we're happy to be here finally talking to y'all. And also too, just, I mean, if you all hadn't have made your show especially for as long as you have. It wouldn't really be an avenue for our show. So we're really excited to talk to you guys.
Well, y'all
started the way Black content work out. Like it all letters up, fam. Like it all letters up.
You know, and the thing is, it's funny though. I kind of feel that way about you guys, and this is kind of gonna be one of them lovey shower things, you know. So I know some people don't take love, you know. You gonna get this love today. I want y'all to know that just watching y'all grow and watching the podcast grow and watching y'all blow up, it's one of those things where I am a fan of a lot of people. I don't always tell them, but I'm a fan of y'all. And I am the type of fan that always cheer from the corner in the back room. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, yay! You know, I've always got my pom-poms ready to go all the time and just rooting y'all on, regardless of what happened. I was like, I know that they're going to do something great. I don't know what it is, but they're going to do something great type of thing. And so it's like reverse, because if it was not me watching you guys hit these strides and get on these platforms and reach out to these people, for me and Roger, we was like, oh, that's something we can do too. You know, because Aldrich says like almost you have to see somebody accomplish something before you know that you can do it. When we were seeing the things that you guys was doing, we was like, oh, nigga, it's another way to do this. Oh, we're getting some of these rooms. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. It's like, oh, they're let niggas in these rooms. Oh, okay, you can do this and you can do that. So it's one of the things where you guys kind of inspired us to be like, the worst they could tell me is no. Well, then guess what? Just because you told me no, you know, we can also, guess what? You tell me no, I can turn around and I can make an alternate route. I might come through the ceiling. I might come through the back door. I might even break a window to get in there. At the end of the day, I'm going to get in that room.
Well, y'all started in 2014. How did y'all meet?
Well, before I will tell you how we met, but first we got to just say thank you. Like, don't get twisted. That meant a lot. Like, hell, most of our trajectory has been out there in the world, and if you have followed it at all, you know it's been an interesting ride. But the thing that I've appreciated so much is just like how much other Black people and Black folks in the space have always reached out in support. And like, to be straight up, it's crazy to hear y'all say that about us, because to the same point that Brittany was making, you know, we saw y'all as a beacon out there for, you know, for the types of things that we can do. And so, you know, to the point we were making, the way Black content work, like every one person take a step and they're like, all right, y'all, we can take this step. And then it's like another person go like three yards further and they're like, all right, well, they could do it too. And so, you know, it just means everything to us that like folks are looking at us in the same way that we're looking at them. And and we all gonna get it. We all gonna get it. Sorry,
you know what? It reminds me of something that Cheryl Lee Ralph said on the Hollywood Reporter roundtable recently that they had about Black famous celebrities. It was her, Lorenz Tate, Loretta Devine, a few other people, really good. But she talked about basically how, you know, like she and specifically Wendy Raquel Thompson, I think, but also other people have been able to have these roles now created by people like Quinta and Issa Rae, but also that, like, you know, generationally, like those kids stand on their shoulders, they stand on the shoulders of the city partying them, but also how they also within the same generation, they all kind of, you know, patchwork it and make it work together. She called it family work. And I was like,
that's real.
I like that.
So that's what this is. We're thank you. It really means a lot to us because this is family work. So we're just, you know, like Eric said, we're really excited y'all see us the way we see you.
When we first started in 2010, it was like we were one of the few Black podcasts just in general, just because it just wasn't a lot of podcasts, and then even less so Black. And so a lot of stuff that I think people would assume we were thinking when we started, you know, oh, what y'all gonna do with this? Y'all gonna do this? We were just like, we're gonna talk in the other bed. That was the plan, you know.
Yes. Our motto for a long time, and it was so weird. Our motto for a long time when people be like, y'all doing some great things, like, y'all look, we just two niggas in the spare bedroom with the microphones.
Wow,
like, I don't know what to tell y'all. Like it, like for us, it's real simple. The so concept of fans was just strange. Yeah.
So I think when we talk about people that maybe they started after us, but we like, no, we look up to them. That's what we mean, is because it's like some of these ambitions that we have or some of these milestones we reach literally came because we were like, oh, you can do that? Yo, we should do that. you know, so that's where the admiration comes from. Also, I think independent versus like I guess co-signed or whatever, people's perceptions change of folks, you know. I remember a long time ago, hopefully it doesn't happen as much anymore, but people were being kind of shady towards the Nod. I don't know if y'all ever even see this shit on Twitter, but it'll be like this kind of weird Yeah.
Around the time we first launched, people were like, wait, I thought, I missed For Colored Nerds and blah, blah. And it's like, you know, like, look, I understand. And, you know, and for what it's worth, initially that change, For Colored Nerds and The Nod are different shows.
Right.
But I think the thing that I think people came to maybe understand, or I hope they came to understand, is like, while we were in a different context, we weren't necessarily moving differently. We were just moving with different tools. And so, you know, I think people were able to kind of see that, like, we're focusing on storytelling now, but we still telling stories about the Black folks all these other folks have been ignoring, you know, and like we really or trying to center a conversation we might not have heard. And so I think, you know, I definitely saw some of that, but I feel like eventually people really, really got that.
Well, I mean, obviously y'all handled it well, because, you know, I think at least back when we started, my impulse would have been to be on there like, what y'all not gonna do is act like I don't give a fuck if you're not adding me. I know who y'all talking about, but y'all handle that super well, which is something we learned over the years.
Yeah, but that's a process.
But also, like at that time, it helped because like people would kind of play shows against each other, like this show should be like this show, this show, and I'm like, we all Black, whether you're moving in this space. If I was in that space, I'd have to move in that way, and we're all trying to put on for Blackness and put on for each other in the ways that we can. So like, to me, it felt dope that it was like the Nod is still doing shows and breaking down like Nuck If You Buck.
Yes,
you know, where it's just like, yo, this is so fucking dope, and like, look at the way they use these resources in a way that, you know, our independent ass would not have been able to do. We don't have those resources. We can't license that song. We can't like meet. We don't have a legal department. Like, it's just gonna be us hoping we don't get sued. So like, it was like super dope to see that shit. And I think stuff like that it's kind of like, I love being Black, but it kind of is like you're always having to quit yourself. And I think y'all, like, obviously y'all's work kind of like showed that that's like, no, they still down. They down for the folks. So I love that.
And I think for me, I love it because my definition of Blackness is, if you identify as being Black, you got the Black experience. That's how I view it. So it don't matter what your experience is, it is a Black experience. So for me, it was wonderful to see your Black experience, whatever that may be, and just accept it for what it is, because you guys represent a population inside of Blackness. All Blackness don't have to be kind of hardcore. And sometimes people forget that they think that the only Blackness, particularly on social media, make you think you're losing your mind, because social media tells you that Blackness has all these rules and regulations. It's like, no, nigga, Blackness is whatever I say it is. You know, and so it was so much.
Well, I think also though, it's about people's perception, like that. Like I remember our friend Ray Sani, she writes for or she used to write for Black Lady sketch show. Yeah, I love her. So she writes for or wrote for a Black Lady Sketch Show season 1, and I just remember like some of the stuff that was said about the show, the cast, the writers, stuff that wasn't true because I knew the people. So it's like these are the Black women that do blank, and you're like, no, they're not. She's from New York. She was raised this way. Like, where's that coming from? And it's like, as the show goes on, gets popular, gets nominated for Emmys, all of a sudden it's like, welcome back, sis. Oh, I love y'all. You're so good. You're so good. Like, so it was like a whole thing, but I feel like we're constantly kind of doing that in our media.
I think sometimes I think that like, everything is not for everybody. Everyone is not for me, and I'm not for everyone else. Agreed. And I think that sometimes I think something that happens, it can happen with any type of pop culture or media, but I noticed that a lot of times Black folks will do it to Black media. To me, if there's something that's not harmful, because there is stuff out there that's actively harmful, that I'm like, can we please deplatform? I don't want to name names because I'm not trying to even speak that energy out there. But it rhymes with, let's say, it rhymes with like Esh and it. We don't need these things. Okay, some stuff just needs to be deplatformed if it's dangerous. But to me, if it's not harmful, and it's just not really resonating with you, maybe it doesn't mean that it's not a Black thing, or the people who made it are a certain way. It just might not be for you, and that's fine. There's lots of stuff that comes out that's not for me.
Yeah, and having to be like one thing that's kind of dope about being on the creative side and consuming media is, at least for me, it kind of gives me a little bit of insight into being gentle. Where it's like, you probably tried to do a good job. It's just hard. Like, it just, you know, I think like now that I'm writing for this TV show, yesterday we did like some on location shoot, right? And it takes all day, and there's so many people involved, and there's so much stuff, and you know, I'm just a writer, so that like in people's mind, it's like you write it and then they do it, right? And it's like, no, it's 37
quite how it works.
Yeah, like what I wrote may or may not be used, period. That's like best case scenario for me is they go, this is really good, and I don't want to ad lib. The director just wants to shoot it, and nobody has any other ideas. But that is not going to happen. So it gives you appreciation for like when you're like, the writing on this show is terrible. I'm like, I don't know what they wrote.
Right.
Yeah.
We really don't.
We really don't.
We got
Shakespeare. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah, like the actor could be like, listen, I got to get in my groove. I'm not really a read the lines kind of guy. You like, I guess we're not reading lines. The general gist was say this, you know? So I think you get an appreciation, and then being a creator and having people consume it and then either project or kind of look into it to kind of come with their own thing, it kind of gives you an insight into it. Like, I don't really take a lot of people's opinions personal anymore, because a lot of our opinions are really about us, right? It's my life experience, what you wrote, and then trying to connect the two. Some people may have a different life experience and be able to relate. Go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, I think the big thing that like can be tough or can get lost is that, like, you know, it's people involved. Like we are people, you know, everybody is like a person, and you know, we engage critique on the show too. You know, sometimes we would talk about movies. Sometimes we don't have the best idea for like what or the best kind of conclusion for how the movie made us feel. But even as we think about that, we really try to challenge ourselves to like think about how we make those critiques, because that is the final product is what we're thinking about. And ultimately we want to respect, you know, one, the creator's choices, kind of how you said, but also just like the world that, like the creative world that we're living in. We should all be talking about like how we do what we do, you know, what we can appreciate. But just because I don't necessarily appreciate it doesn't also mean like I have to be like, well, you know, like fuck your mama too or something. You know what I'm saying? Like folks will really be like, like, I didn't like your show, you should go burn in hell or something like that. And it's like, nah, you can be like, this wasn't for me, for maybe for these reasons. And somebody might find value in that feedback, even if that doesn't necessarily bring you back to their thing.
Right. It also doesn't bother if someone doesn't like something, it doesn't bother me. I think that's maybe why, like we mentioned, like people like maybe shading the nod or like think I like honestly, well, also too, Eric knows this about me. I don't really engage too much in what's that?
The feedback. You don't really be, you be like,
I like feedback as far as like if someone feels like I should have done, like I got something wrong, or I could have done something in a way that was less harmful, or I should have thought this through a little more. Like I like feedback that I can, like, it's like actionable or like is meant to like show me something, like someplace where I fucked up. If you just don't like something, I just don't care. I'm happy for you. I want you to do the things that you like. I don't care. Because you know why? Because everybody knows this, but I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. And it's fine. There's lots of stuff that I don't like, but it's not like if I walked up to a director of a movie that I hated, I'd want to slap them in the face. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I didn't like the movie.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, because I think social media and even to a certain extent podcasting, it kind of rewards the more bombastic opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, you see all the time, you see like someone's clip go viral, and it's always the clip where it's like Megan Thee Stallion ain't nobody. You're like, well, that's not true.
Not true.
You know what I mean? But of course, that's the 2 minutes that will get that show a million downloads because everyone's going to share it and all that stuff. So it's, I think it's hard to almost like to resist that temptation. I think it's a fine line. I think if you go listen to everyone's podcast, almost the first episodes are super spicy. And then as
time goes on,
that people can hear these things, it kind of levels off into like, I'm not saying Wes Anderson is racist. I'm just saying his films don't have black people. That's all. I mean,
that said, you could probably say it. Yeah.
Yes. And also, my thing is when we talk about likes and don't likes, just because I don't like something does not mean it does not have the right to exist. And we live in a world that goes with, I don't like it, it should not exist. And that's not so. And it's funny, though, how it happens in blackness more than any other group. White people are allowed to have all types of genre and all types of shit that's all quirky and weird and strange. And everybody go, oh, that's just white people shit. But black people go, we're not a monolith, but Lord have mercy. Don't do something we're not familiar with. Everybody touch their pearls and act like you don't broke the black code and how dare you betray the people. And you're like, but I thought we was about diversity. And also something else I realized is that a lot of people have FOMO on blackness. And everything that's black ain't for all black people. And the reason why I say that is because, like, let's say something is trending and it's not your shit.
Yeah.
Don't watch it. You watch it because the Negroes are there, and do you complain the whole time? This ain't your shit. Why are you here?
That is so real.
Honestly, stuff I've never seen. When I tell you my brain is smooth.
Even just on the timeline, like literally, there are times where like I would see something that's trending. I would, everybody does that like a minute of work. Like, okay, what happened? Let me find the original tweet. But then sometimes I get to that tweet. I'm actually like, actually, I'm good. I don't need to know anymore. This is too much and just going to stress me the hell out. And folks can walk away.
That happened in real life. A couple weeks ago, you were going to tell me about something that somebody did. It was newsworthy. It wasn't like just necessarily like, just bullshit gossip or whatever. And you were like, oh, wait, I'm going to tell you about this thing. And I was like, no, I don't want to know. As soon as you told me what it was, I was like, I don't want to know. And you were like, but I'm going to tell. I was like, you know what? No, because and you seem upset.
Right.
So I'm doing good. I don't want to know. And it's to this day, I don't know about it.
We're not gonna talk about. We're not naming names for the folks in the chat. Just saying. But yes,
see, we don't talk about Bruno.
It's and then they spent the whole damn movie talking about Bruno. But okay, it's that feeling that we get where you smell something that smells bad and you want to be like, come smell this, like. You smell this. You smell this is bad, right? You're like, yes, you knew it was bad. I don't know why you need me to smell the 3-week-old deli meat. Just throw it out, But what I wanted to ask y'all though, like, how did y'all meet? Like, I believe it was in college that y'all met. How did that lead to starting a podcast?
Very waywardly. Like literally. So Brittany and I met, I think it was my sophomore year, her freshman year. And like what became, I think, our friend group, we used to kind of start just like throwing these random parties. Not like, I want to say just like, it's more like a kickback, more like a glorified, like early 20s kickback. And so we would throw the parties kind of like on campus or not. And Brittany eventually started to come. And initially we were just like in each other's space. I think I'm a very different version of kind of who I was back then. Brittany to a certain degree is as well. But yeah, it was very much just like, I don't know that we were sure about each other, but the proximity had us kind of fall in together very quick. But then, so like we get through college, we ain't nobody talking about creative endeavors. We just, regular, like, fine students, average students, maybe one would say even, kind of traversing through, Howard. And it was only after that, I think Brittany had moved to New York. I've been, trying to like make it here, hadn't quite done it yet. And, we started to have these like conversations and we were just like, these are really like, these are really fun, and they go beyond just like that time you catch up with your friend, you know?
Yeah, we'd be talking for like 6 or 7 hours because Eric didn't like to talk on the phone. So if I called him, he wouldn't pick up. And so it was just like he also didn't answer text messages. You sensing a like not responsive, okay? And so now, then I realized, you know, a good way to get Eric to spend time with me is if we were earning money. I'm just kidding. We didn't make any money for
for a long time.
3-4 years. We made the first.
Yeah. Oh,
but no, we also would like G-chat each other all day.
Yeah.
So we G-chat each other all day long, send each other articles. And back when Google Reader was a thing for the middle to the elder millennial, Xennial, X people, we used to send each other articles on Google Reader. And we were just always sharing things that we were learning with each other and having like deep, sustained conversation about it. And yeah, then like one day, I think it was like Black Friday, it was like day after Thanksgiving, 2013, Eric was like, we should start a podcast. I was like, no, because it
was a very quick no.
I was like, no, because I just at that point I was like, nobody needs to hear what I'm talking about. There's enough. There's enough. It's enough. Also, I enjoyed listening to the read, and I was like, what can I say? That's more. You know, what is there for me to say beyond what they said? There's nothing to add. But then we were drinking, and so we kept drinking some more. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then for a few months, off and on, we would try to make episodes, but like. We didn't understand that like you really had to like make a podcast like a schedule, follow through, cut it, have something to talk about. We were just kind of doing what we, doing whatever. And and then we really started for real September of 2014. And then, the rest kind of goes out from there. But we were friends for hold on. Oh god, my man.
It was a minute.
For like 9 years before we started making a podcast together.
Well, I think for me, like most of the podcasts that have like co-hosts, the show is really about the relationship between the hosts. Like, I think, a lot of people think it's about the subject matter, and I'm not saying these things don't matter, but it's really like everyone kind of talks about the same shit. It's only so much that can happen in a week or a month or a year, and most people, it's like, is our Get Out review like, is that like definitely some one place you can get this shit? It's really just you want to hear me and Karen talk about Get Out, and I want to hear Eric and Brittany talk about Get Out, and I want to hear Kid Fury and Crystal talk about Get Out. Like, I really feel like a lot of it is that. So the number one thing becomes the dedication, and it's just like, are you gonna put this show out when you say it's gonna be out? And that's the hardest thing. It's like going to the gym, it's like dieting, it's like everything that's hard in life that's about routine and regimen, that is a podcast as well. So when we get these people that write us like, well, give me some advice, I'm like, you ain't gonna like this advice because it's the simplest advice. It's the one thing you already know, and it's you gotta do it.
One of those things too, I tell people, I say, when it comes to podcasts, be truthful with yourself. Is it a hobby or is it something you want to do? These two things are completely different. People say I'm a podcaster. No, you do this shit for a hobby, because every episode is I'm back. That is not a podcast. Every time I hit play, we've had a 21-week break, a 2-year week break, a 6-month break. You do this for a hobby, and you don't have nobody listening. I don't know what your schedule is, baby.
The episode description is always like, we're back.
We're back. Uncomfy break, but we're for real this time.
The second anniversary of the last time we came back from break.
Like one of the things I didn't realize you could do when podcasts started was seasons. I was like, oh, that was so smart.
Seasons wasn't around when we first started.
I wish we had known about seasons. You know what I mean?
If we had known about seasons.
We were, I said we didn't get seasons till Gimlet. We didn't go. Honestly, we didn't even get out there. That was like,
but then we didn't get seasons. Other people,
right. And then they were like, nah, y'all can't do that. That's for them.
Yeah, they were like, no. Y'all gotta come out every week.
And because it's not TV, it's not like anyone's keeping up with the season. So like, as a podcast, you can be like, I just want a month off. Okay, season 2 will start in a month or whatever.
That is the number one way, man. That like podcasts. I wish we all had thought about seasons, because like it was like, because the thing is, especially when you first get started, especially back then when there wasn't a lot of podcasts out, and so there wasn't a lot, like once people got into your content, they really wanted your content, because there wasn't really like something analogous to that they could just get into. But like we were making like, I mean, if I hold on, let me do some math. I'm not really good at math, but like so I'm gonna divide this by like 3 years. Okay, divided by like.
I'm curious what.
I think we made over. Okay, I think we the first 3 years we were making for Colored Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
The last year I think there was 6 months where we had a producer. The producer that we paid because we wanted to pay her like a decent, decent little stipend type thing.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up making, I think, as much, if not more money than we made working off the show the entire time. I think it came out to like probably each of us was making like $20 an episode. And that money didn't come for 2 years. So it's like it didn't come out to that much.
Listen,
we were killing ourselves trying to get these episodes out even every other week, between relationship, family commitments, work, all this stuff like that. So like you'd be really we were stressing. No seasons. We weren't like, I did 22 this year, I'm done. We were like, we got to make an episode every week for $20.
When you come into it now, so much of this stuff has been worked out, like monetization and all this stuff. Like it was the wilderness. Like we started, it was really like, I guess we should make a PayPal and then ask people, did they want to send us money in PayPal? And that was literally how we first got money, was through people just giving us money on PayPal to do the show. And now it's like you start a show, it's like, oh, just host it on Anchor and turn on the ads and
I'm
monetizing on Patreon and stuff like that. So I'm like,
they got your t-shirt set up like the whole thing now.
I'm like,
I was coming out with merch drops from the jump. Like they
had merch immediately.
I'm proud. I'm like so happy. I toiled over which like white t-shirt blanks we were going to use for like weeks, trying to figure out like, I gotta get the quality if people are actually going to buy it. So it's
I love it. I'm a person that paid off their student loans. That is like, oh, y'all giving away free good student loans. Y'all taking away the fruit. Good. Nobody should have to go through that shit. It sucks. You know what I'm saying?
I had to defer my payments because I was a waitress making $2.13 an hour. I was like, bitch, I hope you don't think I'm able to pay you off of $2.13 an hour. Y'all have to hold on.
So that's how I look at all that stuff. Like Patreon, I'm so happy you can record with your friend now, and there's so many different programs, Zoom, all this shit. It's just like, shout out to y'all. Hove did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that because it was trash. Okay?
The thing I will say though is it's still, even with all the stuff that has popped up, the biggest advice I still give people is know how to do every piece of your stuff. Because the thing about it is like that is actually what takes you from like skill to like or from hobby to skill, and to job. Like you really like there's a level of, you have to have an appreciation for like the detail that goes into the whole thing, not just like that one piece of it. So absolutely use all this technology because it will save you a ridiculous amount of time.
Yes.
Oh my God. But still understand how it all comes together. Make sure you don't lose that, because like, man, my God.
Like, not to sound like a late 90s John Singleton movie, but the one thing they can't take from you is your brain. You know what I mean? So like,
it's so true.
If you learn the shit, because like, man, we'll talk about it with y'all as well, but like, when, especially as people are like buying up podcasts, we got deals, we got this, we got that. A big thing, leverage that they hold over people is like, oh, we don't think you know how to do this on your own. So at the end of the day, you gonna need us. And it's like so refreshing to be like, no, I'm good, homie. I'll just go back to the home studio.
Exactly.
I'll tripping.
You know what?
Also, this stuff is so learnable. Like, I mean, I'll say I'm a person who does not know how to use Microsoft Excel. And they taught us in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, at least
a few
years
of
of high school, a college.
How did you pass the class? How'd you pass?
I don't know. When I was in college, I don't even know. I think they just knew I was going to graduate, and they were like, "Girl, here's a B. Take it." They didn't give me a C. They straight up gave me a B. I was like, "Wow!" I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't because I didn't earn that. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I don't even know how to use Microsoft Excel, and using Pro Tools, which can seem intimidating, right? Because it's this program that's meant to do so much more than just record people talking and add and scoring and stuff like that. Like I know how to use it, and like I don't know how to use Hindenburg I'm not really good with Audition, but like if I had to learn them, like it's the same basic principle.
Yeah.
Same thing with Audacity. Like the reason why I know how to use Pro Tools because Audacity, which is free, is pretty similar, and that's what we use for a long time.
And we taught like that off YouTube, literally YouTube videos.
Yeah, YouTube. Also, like I mean, a lot of people professionally who use editing software go on YouTube to find
all the time. By the way, your IT guy at work does the same thing.
Hey, you gotta make it happen how you can. You know, I forget every shortcut.
I know they be taking them out. I know they be taking that CP unit back in the back and turning on the YouTube. It's cool.
And sometimes your doctors do it. They don't always get the answers.
Doctors probably be YouTube. They probably do because they be like, what
are the symptoms again?
They be like, I'll be right back. Give me we just need you just relax. They're gonna come in and take your blood pressure. I'm gonna be right back. They probably in the back like hypertension.
They're recording you a voice memo trying to be like, now what?
Well, actually, this is a story we ended up not doing way back, but this guy William Street, and he is heavily rumored to actually have this black man like way back in kind of like 70s 80s. He's rumored to have actually done that and performed surgery by looking up the manuals in the closet. He would take a break and go study the manual and then go and like behave. Black people, hey, we could do it.
Possible. It's got to be possible. Also, now, what I know they're not doing is looking up WebMD, because if they was doing that, they just come back and be like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah. You're not supposed to have an ingrown toenail like that, dog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brittany.
That's actually it's sepsis. There's nothing we can do.
You got 3 days to live.
Exactly. That earache, that's cancer. Yeah, I don't even need to look in there. I checked it out in the WebMD. You go ahead, pay the copay. I know I won't be seeing you again.
Exactly.
But also, what's the difference for y'all in making For Colored Nerds versus The Nod?
To be honest, I mean, it's a very different show. So I'll say that much. Like we needed a pretty massive team to make The Nod, just because like, you have for any given story, you're talking to like multiple people. You're trying to figure out like how to tell it, like what sound stuff it needs. So that was really like a really highly produced show that did like focus on like storytelling about other people. I think the nice thing about For Colored Nerds is it really is kind of a return to that piece of it that you kind of mentioned, which is just like the relationship between two friends. So I think you're getting a lot of the analysis, and Brittany might disagree, I'm curious, but you're getting a lot of the analysis and a lot of the way we thought from The Nod, but just a little more closer to the ground, if that makes any sense. Like with the things that we kind of are all that we all kind of know and love, as opposed to those stories that we might, where we find that one random Black person from there who had this crazy life and we pull them out. That's happening a tiny bit less often. And it's more like, here are the things we've observed, and let me tell you why you should be thinking about them this way.
Yeah, I think that something I would add is like, I think that, okay. Like, For Colored Nerds is Eric and I talking to each other, and The Nod is us talking to other people. I mean, now we do a lot more interviews and stuff like that. So we are sometimes literally talking to other people, but it's more like a conversation. It's more like we've let someone into sort of like our living room or something like that.
Or like a clubhouse or something.
Clubhouse, something like that, right? You're having like the little fireside chat type thing. Although actually, no, fireside chat, he was talking to the country, so that doesn't. But you see what I'm saying? It's a little bit more. It's just like us talking as people, whereas like The Nod is us talking to other people, but also like more trying to get other people's stories. Like so on For Colored Nerds, we'll talk about ourselves and like just shit that's happening with us or what we think about something or whatever. Whereas on The Nod, it's like if we're going to talk about ourselves, it has to be a motivation for it. Which is fine for me because I don't want to be talking about myself. I'm a Scorpio. I want anybody to know where I'm at or what I'm doing. But we really wanted to sort of like, it's our gaze turned outward as opposed to toward each other, or focused on a specific topic. We're more so trying to focus on a specific story or idea and explore that by going along a journey with another person or with another person through their mind, I guess, in a different way. If it's something like an interview or something like that.
Yeah, the nod.
Getting in the weeds.
I love both shows, but the nod always felt to me like an explainer almost sometimes, where it's like, y'all might not know about this. Let me put you on to something real quick, because in case y'all don't know, you know what I mean? For an explainer for everybody, not necessarily just like white people,
right, non-black people.
Yeah, I mean, for us, where we try to make it, I think it was more so an explainer for us. You know what I'm saying? Like those, I think to that point, like I think an episode that we did early on was like about grape drink. And like, I don't know about you, but I grew up obsessed with grape drink. I don't know why I've always drank purple Gatorade, but that is just what I have done. And you look around and you see, you might notice a pattern, might notice a trend along with that. But like, where does that come from for us? And like, what does that actually mean for us? Right. And so I think like to that point, it is a bit of it's a little bit less of an explainer, but more so going through the adventures and the things that we are all curious about. And if that makes any sense. And like that piece, I think I was always really excited by and like excited. Cause like, now I be talking to, I be talking to my friends and talk about like, oh, make sure you get the purple one. And in my mind, I'm like, like, or from Coming to America, like, where I'm like, I actually know where that comes from. We can talk about that. Right. And it's nice to be able to provide that for other folks.
And it's curious because I don't know why, but purple tastes better than grape. You know what I mean? And I agree with that. I think people think they like grape, and I'm like, I think you like purple. You don't like purple.
But this is the thing, though. This is the thing that blew my mind. Because little inside baseball, I think we had to record aspects of that episode 2 times. Because the first time it just wasn't working. The second time you guys turned it into a taste test and then it started working. But the thing that freaked me out the most is like, when we finally smelled, like there's this orange oil, was it neroli oil or something? Yeah, I forget, but it's like a fragrance that smells. I've never smelled like, if you want to smell like grape drink, if that's the way that you want to catch your lover, get some neroli oil, put it on the pulse points, because that will do it. I smell that. It was like sense memory took me back. But one time I did have a grape and it tastes like grape. It tastes like purple. And it blew my mind because regular grapes don't taste like that. Right. It was what kind of grape was it? It was a Concord grape.
Yes.
The kind with the big fat seeds on the inside. The only the taste of a Concord grape, because of that, when I ate it, it freaked me out. Because I was like, this is not how a grape's supposed to taste. This is how purple tastes.
Because people don't really eat Concord grapes. That's not what we're used to.
Feel terrible on your teeth. You could crack a tooth trying to eat a Concord.
Yeah, you might hit that seed, you're gonna lose a tooth.
That exactly. Or you go down the windpipe. It's very they feel like about the size of a dime.
Yeah, grape and purple are so different. I had a Welch's grape soda the other day, and I devoured that shit. Because I haven't had one in so long.
Wait, did you have it in a can or in a bottle?
It was in a bottle. I didn't even know they made that. I'll pop that thing open because I ain't had one in so long. I was like, it's good when you drink it, you look at it.
Right. You gotta like, what is this? Did they change it? That's me with Tahitian Treat. Tahitian Treat. I don't know what they put in that soda, but oh my God, the formula hasn't changed for 50 years and it should never.
There's a soda like that called Rock and Rye that Faygo makes. I don't know. Some people in the Midwest can have. I know definitely in Detroit, obviously in Michigan, we have Faygo, but it is, I think, like a black cherry soda or something like that. I actually don't know what flavor it is. I've been asking people for years. I'm like, what flavor? My cousin, Rock and Rye is Rock and Rye. What does that mean? It is the most. I only really get to have them once every couple of years, but every time it just unlocks. And then the fizziness get it too, and your tongue is like.
Listen, it was the perfect cold. It was like I'm gonna remember that soda for a while. You know what I mean? It was that good.
So try to remember them all.
Yes, if you talk about that, not only purple, red will be another one to dig into, because like I remember when Roger was here, they had like a food truck and they had like some ices. And I hadn't had an icy in forever. And the lady asked me what kind of flavor I wanted. And Lord have mercy, before I knew it, I turned into a kid. I said red.
And she understood. She understood exactly what you were talking about.
What else is it? What's the fruit it actually is?
there's red, cherry, and strawberry. All of those are red flavors, but red is its own thing on its own. Yes, red is like more punchy, fruit punchy, whereas strawberry and cherry are very different. So it's like I feel you.
Yeah, I had to be careful because I ordered at Bojangles. I'll be like, let me get a Fanta red, but now they got those machines inside that can make every flavor of Fanta. So I had to be specific and remember. I was like, she's like, what you mean, strawberry? I was like, no, red. What? No. There's not other reds. What's happening right now?
Yeah, I didn't make cherry Fanta to my knowledge.
Right. Well, they do now in those super duper machines.
Oh, right, because they have everything. They like
I have to
oh, okay. Yeah.
But they're intimidating.
Yes, it's a little overwhelming. Yeah, like when people behind me in line, I panic. I'll be like, just Sprite, just fuck it. I don't want no problems, but it's so many choices.
I will say, as a person who used to, I don't know if y'all used to do this, but like I would mix soda at the little free machine. I would have never tried this normally, but I had an orange vanilla Dr. Pepper. I was like, sure. And to be honest, it wasn't bad. It was wild sweet, but it wasn't bad. And I tasted each
when nobody is there behind me at the Qdoba and I just got the machine to myself. And, like, I'm like motherfucking Dr. Robotnik up in there. I'm like, nah, combine this shit with this shit. I'm about to make gravy. I don't care. But when there's somebody behind me, I just be like, Coke. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I got to put up my head. It's taking too long. So has podcasting, because y'all been podcasting since 2014, y'all been friends 9 years before that. Have y'all ever had y'all's friendship tested through this journey?
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is, we work together every day. I think that if you know anybody, if you're around, okay, it's like any other relationship where you're with somebody all the time. People like my mom got tired of me when I was growing up. I didn't really get tired of her, but I know she got tired of me. I know that, like, you know, I mean, my fiance and I really get along all the time, but I know sometimes actually, I don't get tired of him, but I know he gets tired of me sometimes.
No, it's a trend.
It's not two-way. I'm not making it sound good for myself, but I mean, anytime you spend that much time around somebody and you're trying to like get something done, there's always going to be some sort of conflict. But it was never like, it's not existential. I think because we've been friends for so long, it's never just like, shit is off the rails. I'm gonna throw something. I'm gonna leave out and slam the doors or anything like that. Like a normal amount, I think, of like conflict, but nothing like super wild.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Even though, like, I'm trying to think of maybe like one or two that we have had that felt like they got like deep. But even then, I felt like they were mostly resolved like that day. Typically, you know, or like with a conversation later. I mean, to Brittany's point, like, look, I know Brittany ass for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff that she knows about my life that I've forgotten. I don't even remember. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. That's fear. But you try to start put fear in my heart. But seriously, to that point, like, you know, this podcast stuff, it is fun. Obviously, it's changed my career, it's changed my life. But like, I'm still trying to kick it with my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still want my social group. And I think that has always helped us put like certain things in priority in terms of how we talk about it. But then in addition to that, I think we also, one thing that we do is have a pretty high amount of empathy for where the other person is at. And so, like, you know, if like there's a week where Brittany ain't really got it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a week where I might have it. And then, you know, vice versa. And so it's allowed us to kind of like, it's allowed us to make space and to like be there for each other in a process that is reflective of the fact that humans are in it. So like, you know, I mean, look, when we were making the Knot, I got divorced at one point, you know, and like I was in a rough place for a little bit, you know, as anybody would be. But it meant so much to not only have like our team that understood, but also have my friend who understood as well, to be able to make space for that, to be able to be like, hey, why are you here? There was one point I tried to show back up to work, and Brittany was just like, why are you
I actually here? Because I had told you not to come, and then you walking in, and I'm like,
I was like, well, give me something to do. She was like, you need go to do home.
Being at home. That's what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the other thing too is like, I'll say even just from like a different perspective for people who might be thinking about professionalizing something that they work on with a friend. If the more you professionalize something, the more people are added. You all cannot be cutting up and acting a fool in front of other people and expect to be taken seriously, expect to get work done, and expect to like set a positive dynamic on your team. If you can't deal with each other, it just is not gonna work. Because you want to be in a professional you want to maintain a professional environment, like above all else at some points, you know what I mean, when you're working with other people. Also, like for us, we were in a position where because we were kind of newer to podcasting than many of our colleagues, we especially when we were building out the team for our show, The Nod, there were some aspects wherein, and not just cultural, right? Because some people that we had on the team were not Black. But there were some aspects where we knew a lot more. But also like the show was ours. So of course there's some aspects where we know more than everybody else on the team. But there's a lot of other aspects where people skills wise knew more than we did. Yeah. And you can't be like, if you're cutting up and acting a fool and don't know how to get along or whatever, then you're going to cut yourself off from an opportunity to learn. If you're coming from like how we started, which is just like at home and stuff like that together.
I would say it was always really important to justify the endeavor with our work. You know what I'm saying? Like we were always willing to do whatever we needed to do to make sure that the show was in the best shape possible. And I think that like when you get in that environment with other people, you know what I'm saying, they see that and they want to work towards that. And that, to be honest, is also a little bit of a level of like accountability for all of you, you know, like Brittany would help me, you know what I'm saying? Like we're working together to make sure that we can actually lead this team. I don't know, we want to give Black folks nothing. You know what I'm saying? So we were like, we want to design a process that allows us to do what we think makes the best like product and content, but also to do that in a way that like, you know, we can all continue to be people who have like real lives and like, you know, this isn't the most important thing in them, you know?
Right. And I think for me and Roderick, something that we did, we treated what we did like a job before it became a job.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yep. I think that's a very hard concept because, and like with you guys, when you make something look easy, everybody think that they can do it until they get behind the wheel and they'll be like, woo, they was going 70 miles an hour. I could better 35. This is true. But it was like, well, I made it look easy and I've been doing this for a long ass time because the thing is, me and Roderick, and I know it might sound strange, we've actually slowed down. Because people who used to listen to us at first, we recorded every holiday. We didn't take weeks off. We went from, you know, we actually increased from 1 day a week to 2 days a week to 3 days a week to 5 days a week. And we started 5 days a week once we went premium. And the thing is, we had to tell ourselves, hey, it's okay to take a week off here and now, because we would go like long periods of time and we wouldn't take breaks and we wouldn't take time off and we would just like go. And we had to learn like, and it's a balance there. Like you said,
I think we thought we had to outwork so many people.
Right.
Like, oh, well, if we're always here, then
we're doing it.
And, you know, obviously over the years we realized, well, that's not true. Look at these motherfuckers. They doing shit whenever they want to do it. And they doing just fine. You know, like we clearly overshot what we were trying to do. But it took years for us to learn that. But the thing that strikes me is like, when you have a relationship outside of the podcast, I think the show is better if it's like, whether I have a podcast or not, me and this person will always be in each other's lives. It's like a symbiotic thing that makes the podcast keep working. Is that it's not just I feel like you can almost hear when people are like, I'm just here so I don't get fined, and I just want to do this show.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like I listen to shows where I'm just like, y'all could have took this week off. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hope y'all are okay in real life.
I hope y'all like each other. You know, after this goes, and hope y'all don't turn the mics and cuss everybody in the room out. I really hope.
But you can hear though. You can hear though, even if it's not like a day-to-day thing. Sometimes people are just put together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To make a show. And you can absolutely hear it because listening to it is just like,
rough.
Yes, and it's rough when people don't like each other and don't get along, and they think they're pretending. But what they fail to realize, me as a listener, because me and Roger both listen to hundreds, possibly thousands of podcasts, and because of that, people chemistry matter.
Yeah,
people. Really but like this, I love to feel like I am dropping in on a phone conversation that y'all having. That's how I feel. It's like y'all picked up the phone, started talking, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, somebody talking on the phone, and I was just like, well, shit. Then I'm gonna stay on the telephone. I'm gonna listen to what, and I like those type of conversations. People don't like it. Like that energy can be
it comes out,
and sometimes, or you can pretend, but you can only pretend but so long. Eventually, that veil's gonna fall. And people are like,
oh, the show. I mean, shows become work, and that's just like that's just a big thing for everybody. Once it kind of becomes like a job, like you are expected to be here at a certain time. As y'all brought up, when you have a team, now you're kind of a boss, and then you probably have a boss.
Yeah.
So like it's a different dynamic than like we were just hanging out, kicking it because we wanted to. Now somebody's job depend on us hanging out, kicking it, and sounding like we wanted to do it. So it's a little pressure. It's a little pressure.
But I think that's also why it's important to really think through like how you make what you make. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I think was really important that you know, that we didn't lose when we were making the nod is like making the nod was fun. Like, don't get it twisted. It was a lot of work. It was an insane amount of work.
So fun.
Oh my God. But it was so fun. And it was important for us to make sure that we didn't lose that as a part of making it, because we also thought that translates when you hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was times we couldn't cut shit because we was laughing in a, you know what I'm saying? It's crosstalk from laughing. And like, you know, that is to me, that's the best problem to have, because I think the audience is going to feel that energy and like, they're going to be right there with you. So it's like, you know, folks really have to like understand, like working on chemistry and understanding where somebody is and how we work together, like to keep that fun in your process, not in your product, in your process, makes all the difference in the world, like for how you do everything. So
what was it like working with a team, like going from like it's just us to okay, now we got it's just us and the producer that makes as much as us per episode to now we got like a team, like I know writing for this TV show, there's shit where they're just like, yeah, you need to talk to legal before you can put this out. You know, there's times where I'm like, I don't know how to write this to make this short, but we can put a montage together and there's a team that goes and gets the video and does that shit for us. So like, what were the good and the bad for working with a team of people?
I mean, one thing I will say is that when we were working on the Nod podcast, our team was pretty, I mean, it was much larger than what we'd had before, but it was still pretty small. Like at most we had 7
y'all still black. Y'all still do a black show.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, literally, you see other people with like their teams with 11, 12 people on it. And they'd be like, yeah, y'all got to get rid of somebody else. We're like, okay, but it's just me and Eric. That like, no, we never got to that one. We did get to 4 though, including us, which was like,
including 2. So it's like, yo, it's like
really hard. But we so I started working at Gimlet. I hosted this show called Sampler. It was like they wanted to make a podcast about podcasts.
I remember that show.
Hosted, and then Eric came on as a development producer, so working on shows like Mogul and Civil, and so we had like some experience working with teams, and basically the team from Sampler was mostly the basis. I say mostly the basis. It was the same people from Sampler.
What's the team?
They
added me.
We added some more people. Once we had resources, we were able to add. Obviously we added Eric.
Yes.
When we got resources, we added Eric, and then then we added a couple more producers and things like that. Like I said, most of the time it was 4 people. Plus like a part-time editor or an editor that we would share with other teams, and an engineer that we had part-time. It was great. We had a great engineer working on the Nod. But full-time staff, who were the people who were like producing, cutting, booking stuff, that was 4 people, including us. It was like, I don't know. One thing that was cool was that like sometimes, well, there's always so much work to do that like it wasn't really this thing of be like, oh, do this. And the stuff would be done. It was like, I could tell you to do this, but I would also have my own shit to do. Yeah. It was like we were all in this shit together. Yeah. The sort of aspect of like having legal or marketing teams, truthfully, when we started at Gimlet, we were so early that they didn't have any of that shit. Like they didn't have a marketing person at the company until we had been working there for probably 2 or 3 years. Like the Nod was over a year old before they hired someone in marketing. And even then we still had to beg. I mean, don't let me get into the story, because then I'm gonna start talking about the time that they paid $10,000 to have a bunch of Black people in Chicago do what is the word I'm thinking of, Eric? What's the word I'm thinking of?
The focus groups.
The focus group. Yeah, because they were like, something wrong with y'all show. We got to get a focus group. So they paid 10 Black people from Chicago to listen to the show.
I hope they got a lot. Honestly, it was. I shout out to. I
hope they got. I know, because I'm like, this is a good hustle. And basically, all Black people were like, yeah, the show is good. They said one thing where they were like, there's not Black faces on the art, which was like, okay, that's kind of helpful. That's a good point. They were like, we wouldn't know it was Black because there was no Black faces on the show art. We were like, okay, cool. But the other thing that they said was, they were like, this show is really good. I just hadn't heard of it. If y'all market it, I would listen to this show. And I was like, y'all paid money. Y'all paid marketing, but actual marketing budget
to have them tell you to.
And I told them, I said, it's 10 niggas right here. Excuse me. Right here. We can listen to the show. That's how, as many as we can listen to the show. I can tell you what's in it. We know it works.
We highlighted that in the results so fast. We were just like, this feels like a good takeaway. Yeah. You know, like, huh.
Like they legit could have did an audience survey, got those answers, and gave y'all $10,000 to market the show. And so much of podcasting is marketing. Like when we were with Spotify for like a year, it was like exclusive Spotify, blah blah blah. And so and I think we were just really part of the experiment. Like they were signed multiple shows. They kind of wanted to see like what kind of market like your show lost and audience, what it could gain via the Spotify tools and all that. You know, it's like very experimental stuff. And then COVID hit, so I know that changed a lot of the plans, because
yes, it did.
There's like all this marketing and shit that they were gonna do that was like, oh, motherfuckers can't meet in person. Never mind. But one of the things that was absolutely true was anytime they promoted us on their app, the numbers just went right to the top. It's like, oh, look, we're a top 5 podcast today. What the fuck happened? It's like, oh, we did a little experiment. We like, we promote their show whenever people logged in if they listen to similar shows. I'm like, wow.
Do it again. Like it's
like, they're like, what if it happened like every week, every day, every time we had the episode?
Yeah, like why not just do that? Because it really don't matter what we do. It's not the length of the show. It's not how much we put it out. It's you are the ones with the finger on the button, and I feel like we're being measured by how much you push your finger down, which kind of is what that $10,000 focus group feels like, where it's like, guys, just push your finger down on the button and let's just get these listeners up.
Right. And I was like crying inside, because I was like, this is a lot of money. We could have used it. We could have maybe we could have got some more that might have helped us put toward an intern or some other type of staff support. Or I could have gone.
Yeah, there were some stories we wanted to report that we started to like slow down with traveling. We were just
we had to slow down with traveling. That's very true after a while, because we couldn't travel to go report and do certain things. And that was one of the best parts, I think, that really set our show apart, was that we actually would go out into the world and go talk to people who were doing stuff that you couldn't capture just if you were talking in a studio or whatever. Right. But yeah, I mean, also like it's interesting what you just said about experiment. I always still experiment. It always feels like an experiment when it comes to marketing that shit. But we're in a much better situation.
But
now.
the thing I would come back and say is like just about the actual team that we had. I think like for like working in podcasting, also even working on like we had a Quibi show for a little while, working on a Quibi show. I enjoyed that more than like anything I can truly describe to you, because so much of this is like, if it's not just a hobby to you, you are actually a bit of a nerd about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're interested, you're curious how it all comes together, how the sausage is made, all of that. And the thing I'll say is like, I learned something about this industry and about the craft from every single person who I got to work with. And to be honest, a bunch of things from many of them. And like that piece of the process of just being able to sit and learn how to do your thing better with people who are doing that with you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I hope everyone gets that opportunity.
That's the thing. Like, it's never really a slight to the individuals, because I think people that's on your team is on your team. Yeah. And if they're there, they're normally committed to whatever the vision is, right? So, but just, you know, in general, I think as a Black podcaster, it's hard to look around sometimes and be like, so-and-so just got a $12 million deal. And you're like, they had that money? Like,
right.
They had no money. Hold up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's also too, because like, it's so funny you mentioned $12 million or maybe $100 million.
Maybe two.
Functionally, to someone getting $100 million, there's functionally no difference between $100 million and $98 million.
Right.
And it's like they could just give you, I don't know, 100,000, 50,000 to do what you need to do for that year. So, you know what I'm saying? And it's like it would be no skin off of, you know, nothing. But I mean, to Eric's point, like the thing that really, I mean, you can read all about it, whatever, hear all about our struggles working within a larger organization, like a corporate structure, or even before it was bought by a corporation, just working with management to try to get them to understand what we were doing, even though it didn't need to be explained to lots of people, right? Our actual team of producers and editors and engineers, like the people who actually were in the shit with us and helping us making the show with us, those people were incredible. And it's like we made so many, you know, amazing friends and everything like that from that time. Like the process of I don't know, there's something really beautiful about having this vision that we had together, right? And you know, it's kind of scary, I think, on some level too, to try to open up and share that and try to explain something that we didn't really have to explain to each other to other people. That's scary. But then to have other people fuck with it and then find ways to show us how we could make it better and how we could get better, and we could take things further. That was so cool. We had so many people who were so generous and so smart, who were willing to share their knowledge and creativity with us to help make a show that was really our baby better. And that part was really cool. That part is cool.
Seeing that on the show I'm working on, seeing that for the first time, that's been like super educational. I keep asking everybody like what their job is, how does it do, does it, like what are you like? This one woman came in, she's she's the producer on the day of the show that like edits everything, records everything, all that stuff. And she just came in the office to ask like a quick question. And then she ended up being in there for like 30 minutes. Cause I was like, okay, but hold up. I was reading the daily loadout schedule. And she's like, you read that? And I was like, why isn't everyone reading this? Like,
I have access to it.
What's going to happen today? Okay. So I'm the only one reading it. Fine. What does this mean? What does this term mean? I've never heard it before. And she like broke down like, oh, we record at this place. If
they get excited because they be like, I can share shit.
Yeah, all this information goes back here, and we edit it here, and we look at it this, and we send it back, and it's got to be done by this time, and then it can broadcast on HBO. But if we don't have it done by 5, it's this, and we can cut this, and we can add this. And she's like going off, and I'm just trying to remember all this stuff because I'm like, now I know what you do. Today, before this conversation, you were the lady that had an office next to mine. Now I know you're Nancy, the woman who does all of this stuff. And I think that knowledge also teaches me so that if I go somewhere else, or even if I just take it back and we do something ourselves, that's something I did not know before.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about having a team of people who are there to like support, teach you, that's the opportunity. They can't, they can't take the knowledge away.
It's real.
It's so true. It's so true. And also too, like you also, like when you get into a position of leadership, going back to even what you were saying earlier, Eric, about like knowing how to do certain things, you know what you're asking somebody to do. So you're not going to ask someone, hopefully you're not going to ask someone or purposefully ask somebody who is maybe cutting something for you or needs to prepare a script or something like that, to do something, to do like a miracle turnaround every week, you know, because you know how long it takes. Additionally, when you ask somebody else to do something and it's like, no, I know how long that takes. I know it ain't hard.
Yeah,
I know it's not.
I'm gonna get that to you in about 6 days. Like, I'm like, turn around with 24 hours. Okay,
actually,
you over here bullshitting.
Exactly.
Like, you playing really happening, right? Wasting time. And also, it's a thing about how do you deal with? Well, you kind of answered the question, but when you know, how do you deal with knowing that you don't know? Because, you know, sometimes when people get to the point where, yeah, I can know this, but this is your expertise. Like, you actually got a degree and you went to school, and they kind of input in that. How do you kind of take that? Because a lot of people don't take that good because they feel like they know everything because, like, it's your baby.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing is, like, you have to figure out how to have a bit of distance from it. Like, I won't lie to you. So when I made my first story, I toiled over it eventually became like Deacons. I wrote, oh my God, I think I stayed in a studio for at least a week and a half on that first draft. Like from come in 9 to like when I left at like 5 or 6 or whenever, and just putting together a draft. I'm like, I'm making it, I'm doing it, I'm working in podcasting, y'all. And you know, I get to my first edit, and like, this is something I didn't know about, like, at least editing at the place where we worked. It was brutal. Like, we do group edits. So like literally you kind of read the narration, and then you play the piece of tape that's supposed to come from the quote. And you just do that till you get through the whole thing. And when I say, folks, I ripped it to shreds. Like, I dead ass left. I was like, one, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I made this. This is perfect. And you're telling me I need to rewrite 3/4 of it and rearrange the other quarter? I don't understand. Like, and so I would go, and, you know, for what it's worth, after that initial edit, I went in the bathroom. I let it rip. I cried. But as I started to rewrite it, I started to recognize where it could be better. And there's a dissonance that is really hard to nail, and that is, what is the part I need to own that can't change, and there is, what do I need to surrender to the people who know how it should change.
Yes.
And that is a really uncomfortable tension, because, like, you know, there were parts about that story that I was like, no, that piece of tape has to stay. This, the way we wrote it, no. That's how it has to be written. But you can't be so like intense about that you're not allowing yourself to learn and allowing somebody else to help push you in a slightly better direction. So it's like a lot of just like take some feedback and then go sit for a minute, you know, listen to some Kendrick, maybe the like more angrier Kendrick, whatever, you know, that like whatever gets to you, whatever does it for you, and then come back to that feedback with a new perspective. And that'll usually tell you whether or not it's something you should engage, or whether like maybe it went a little too far. Sometimes it's usually a bit of both. Sometimes something you should do, and then there's something you're like, actually, nah, we can leave that.
The first like, so we had this thing, deep dives, where you have to write like these long ass monologues. And so the first one we turned in, they told us before we even turned it, it's like, now we're just gonna let you know there's probably gonna be 6-7 drafts. And I'm like, 6-7 drafts? Like, how so?
Y'all doing the other 5? Like, I could do 2, maybe the first and the last.
This one actually almost killed me.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like some misspellings y'all need me to get at or something, like, because I looked through the spell check. But like that the first time we did a quote unquote read down, and it's just everyone in the room. Like, I just thought it'd be like us and upper level people, that the head writers, and no, everybody. Like, and you got like legal, you got fucking video people, you got like, everyone's just like, yeah, so you can't say that, so you got
to phrase that a little differently.
This joke is cool, but you need to make it better. Okay, cool. This don't need to be this long. Okay, we can knock all this out. I went in there literally with zero ego. I was like, whatever y'all say do, I'm just gonna do, because I was like, because inside of myself, I'm a fighter. So like, I was like, if I go in there with this idea of like battling it out, like what y'all not gonna do, I know that it's just gonna be ugly. I'm gonna get fired. So I didn't like. I was holding my mouth. I was really holding my mouth like this the whole time, because like there were things I wanted to fight for. I was like, I'm gonna save it for a little later. Maybe they'll get to something that, you know, like, okay, I can see what you're saying. But it actually, honestly, it actually taught me to write better. And like, it's stuff that I was like, that's impossible. I was back in that room like, oh no, I see exactly how that's possible. And I wouldn't have learned that if I went in there with the like, you know, I know everything, you know, y'all don't know shit. So it is kind of healthy, and you do have to find that balance, you know. I think later, now we're getting to the point where it's like, come on, man, that's funny. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for real. Because you know enough now. You know enough now to push back.
Once you get, the other thing is like push back, the ability to push back with intent, like not pushing back just because that's like your gut reaction, comes from gaining the skills through getting the other critique. It's like, so that, like you said, you can kind of be like, okay, but this is funny. I know that because all the rest of this shit is intact. So I can stand on and tell you,
like the first time like legal hit us with like, you can't say this, and I was able to be like, but we can say it like this, and they was like, that is technically true. Like,
and that's when you're like,
fair enough.
Like I did that. I know that. Thank you.
So what was it like doing the Quibi show? Because, you know, we've talked about the podcast, but like I know Quibi was quick bites. It was short TV, kind of on the internet. It was like a kind of cool. It's kind of weird to see like other things come along and do the idea.
Hindsight 2020.
Well, I mean, I'll say so the experience of the show ending obviously was like wild. I mean, like we found out like the story came out in Wall Street Journal. Then hours later, we had it confirmed that we lost our jobs. We just found out like everybody else found out. It wasn't like something where like they told us. So that part sucked. But I would say that like I have two like overall thoughts about the process of making.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I hate to
but you feel like you like I gotta just linger in this for 1 second. Go ahead.
Found out in the news.
Yeah.
Then like you had to go into work and pretend like.
Well, no. One of our producers sent
this was
us
pandemic,
the article. Like they
the
sent
article.
us.
Yeah, the article came out, and like we didn't know anything about. Well, we knew something was up because we would read the same news everybody else does. So we hypothesized something was up, but not that imminently.
Yeah,
it was more so like you'd read articles like, "Oh, Quibi's in trouble," and you know, you read articles like that. Like, how long have we been reading articles about Peloton being in trouble? And
Spotify, everybody's operating in negative. All these,
I know they're all in trouble, right? I might be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens. But like it's fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's usually not existential, but they were just like Quibi's in trouble on like Monday, and then Wednesday it was like Quibi shuts down. So we were like, I think we had one more meeting that day. We had some one-on-ones with our producers. We were like, okay, so our executive producer, wonderful man named Sean Johnson.
Yeah, shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean.
Patience of a saint.
Patience of a saint. Just a Black TV veteran legend. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. So we called him. We were just basically, what do we do? And he was like, look, oh, I've had networks shut down before. Because of course he has. Because he's just like, he's done everything. And he's like, usually it takes a minute for a big company to shut down. Like we might have a couple more weeks. So he's like, just have the meetings. We'll make the last few episodes. We'll call it a day. We thought maybe we'd have until the end of the week. That was what I actually genuinely thought, okay, end of the week. And then after that, 3 hours later,
today,
the production company called and they were like, yeah, everyone stop down right now. We're done. So it was like, it was just like that.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, it's like one of those things like, you know, I enjoy making the show. I think the thing that like and actually for what it's worth, even for some folks have problems with Quibi. We didn't necessarily have those. We had a really great executive. But I think even the way it came down, the part that was frustrating, I think, about how it happened, it's just that, you know, we realized how much we couldn't do right by people after the fact. Like I didn't realize how swift that shit was gonna be in order to not be able to like make folks whole. You know what I'm saying? Like people had really been like committed to like committed to making this show. It was a fucking global pandemic.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people were still like dying in large numbers. And like, you know, it's an investment. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't have been mad at nobody if you actually, we had a couple folks who were like, hey, I just might need to take a break for a little bit. And we were like, do your thing. There's other more important stuff. But it did open me up to just how like precarious the like opportunity of working in entertainment is. That shit can really change up overnight. And because it did. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that part was kind of hard. But also, like, I'll be honest, like I went into the whole experience like we worked at Gimlet, and that was a startup, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to put it. I'm not trying to be like, you know, I don't want anybody suing me. Now they haven't already, then you know. But yeah, I mean, like Gimlet was a startup that was based on an untested idea, and we were there while they were trying to figure it out and build the plane as they were flying it. And so with Quibi, that was an even more untested sort of long shot idea. Just because they had more money, I didn't think that I wasn't certain that the company itself was going to be a success. And I think our attitude was like, we'll go in, we'll have the opportunity to like try to make our show in a different medium and learn new skills, you know what I'm saying? Because they can't take those away from us. And we'll, you know, and then we'll see what happens. So I was like, I was not shocked at the fact that Quibi didn't survive forever.
Yeah.
I was very shocked that it didn't survive six months. And that also, like, even lots of other shows, you know, even, I don't know, it's even usually when things like this happen, you'll hear from your executive, or they'll tell you, hey, you've got 2 weeks, or hey, whatever. I mean, so much stuff had to get sort of figured out on the fly after the fact, like to Eric's point. And it was just that part. I think it was very hard to, I don't know, like I didn't feel like we had let our team down, but just more so like the people had, you know, trusted us to work on our show, and that and that it was just sort of like, you know, it was just sort of like here one day, gone the next. Here one day, gone the next is kind of what you expect in entertainment.
Right.
But not literally.
Not quite that. Like, at least I thought somebody was going to call me first. I thought there was just one phone call.
Had a meeting.
I'm sure they gave I'm sure they gave Moesha at the UPN at least a few weeks. You know what I mean? They just show up and take the signs down off the wall. That's not how that works. That's like crazy. And like also about that time, like y'all as a show became news around like in 2020. Like it was like we're podcast nerds, we're fans, so we're like reading, you know, where it's like, listen, this is going on with their deal. They're trying to get the show back, their RSS feed, and like it's like, how did it feel to be at the center of it? Like y'all are the news. How
honestly
are the news?
That part wasn't terrible, because at the same time that all was happening, I honestly feel like we were doing pretty amazing work. So, and this is where actually the strange praise that we'll have for Quibi comes in. You know, around the time that George Floyd passed, and you know, we kind of had a spate of police violence and killings, and we started seeing all this protest. Quibi kind of came to us, you know, and very much was like, "What do y'all need?" You know, like you clearly want to cover this in a way that is not, you know, like that is a little deeper, and it means something to you. What do y'all need? And so for what it's worth, we were able to get more, you know, we got like a couple more hires to actually let us it was supposed to be daily. Lord, I might not commit to a daily show again, but it's supposed to be daily. They let us come down a little bit from that to be able to make the episodes a little more impactful. And so that part was great. So I'm like, you know, we're doing 101s on police abolition. We do, you know what I'm saying? Like we were going in, we were having a good time. And it really put a bit of a fire, I think, under us, to the point of like, wait, why are we are covering this shit. We are providing a service.
Yeah.
What is happening with how you are treating us? You're not going to have, and this is not necessarily Quibi.
Yeah.
But, you know, the other people involved. Right. But you're not going to have us out here, you know what I'm saying? Like doing this work that you are lauding, and you are saying like, hey.
They were taking the audio from our Quibi episodes and putting it down the feed. They were putting it down our Nod podcast feed. So they were still having the cachet of being at the forefront of Black thought as it ran for 6 to 8 minutes for this week.
But I was like, man, these episodes getting shorter and shorter. This is
like the editor too good. They still got the goodwill of being associated with our brand and being associated with Black people, and meanwhile they're giving oh God, what's that guy's name? Mr. Fear Factor buckets of cash or whatever, but
so much money.
It's so much money, like an ungodly amount. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, it kind of like, I don't know, to me, I'll say this, given all the stuff that, like, at least in podcasting news that we had been a part of, or like, whatever, like, even still have sometimes people reach out and DM, like a couple, like last week I got 2 DMs for people who were like,
actually, I'm curious if they're the same ones. I got a couple too.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was like, I don't even respond to it. I'm like, child, this is old news. I'm wedding planning. I'm not focused on this. But there are so many people who every day who are speaking out about things in a way in which I don't, important things in a way in which I don't.
Right.
That consistently, or people who are reporting about really important things, or putting themselves out there, or organizing, or doing all these other things, or saying the thing that nobody else wants to hear, who get death threats on whatever, you know what I mean? Just really nasty stuff. Sometimes, like, there'll be sometimes people in the mentions, but even, like, for the most part, I forget. I think we were appearing on somebody else's podcast, and for some reason I had occasion to look for my name in search my name in Twitter, and people like only said nice things. Just like, when stuff like that happens, it's just like, not that I'd never searched it before, because again, I don't do, if I didn't see it, if I didn't hear it, it's not my business. It's your opinion, it's for you. I'm no harm.
That's a gem right there. Y'all should, if you're in the creative side of things, I promise you that is a gem. That's a gift. Remember that line. If it's not to you, it ain't your business.
Yeah, I mean, because this is the thing. If somebody had met me in line at the grocery store or something like that, or whatever, waiting room at a doctor's office, and we struck up a conversation, they probably like me. But that's not what they're judging me on. They're judging me on this thing that they just didn't like that much, and so whatever, it's their business.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that it sucked kind of to have people kind of like wanting to, like, I don't like people asking me questions. I don't like people I mean,
interviewer by trade, mind you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm supposed to be a one.
I hope we don't get off of this. Is Brittany's like, listen, Ron is nosy as fuck. Okay, first of all, mind your business. We just want to play some games and talk about white people. This motherfucker want to know my business.
Yeah, no, I don't like people asking me questions and want to know where I am and stuff like that, to be in my business and stuff like that. I don't like that stuff. And there's a lot of things I'm like, this is private, this is personal, whatever. Like, I never said my fiance and I have been living together for 5 years. We have been together for 7 years. We've been engaged for 3.5 years. I have never said his first name on any episode of anything.
You say first name like you have said the last. Like,
okay, that's true. I didn't say last. I didn't say anything.
Are you just gonna do like the Issa Rae pop up on Instagram when she just?
Well, he's on Instagram. He's on Instagram. Sure. I tag him. It's easy to find out who. But as far as like my work and stuff like that, it's like, for me, I try to keep things like, whatever. But so that part I didn't like. But as far as like we were really fortunate in that a lot of people are really supportive of us publicly and also behind the scenes. People are very kind. And then also too, I think going back to really the first thing that we were talking about, because there are so many people who came up with us, or even ahead of us, alongside us, that like we worked with and we got to know. They knew that we weren't lying. They knew that we weren't on bullshit. And they saw things happen, maybe sometimes they couldn't speak out about, but like we were in that moment or whatever. So we just had a lot of people, like, overall, we had quite the opposite experience where people were just really nice. And
there was also like there were also like other things happening at the time of at that company that were becoming like, like out into the public. So I think not to say it's as bad as this, but it is like when Weinstein has like an accuser and then there's 10 accusers and there's 20 and you're like, yeah, probably was up to something, you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, maybe you don't have to believe every word of everybody, but collectively they seem to be having some issues. You know, it's like motherfuckers are unionizing. It's not a coincidence. You
people
know
don't unionize because
for no reason.
For no reason, because everything just going so great. Right. I just keep wondering how can we be better?
Literally, no one's even thought of a union when shit is going well. Like the concept of union didn't.
We don't need no union.
Yeah, it didn't start until shit. Like even if you go back to like the Industrial Revolution, it doesn't start until people are like, "Hey man, you lost your foot. They still got you working." That's how the union starts. Yeah. But go ahead, Eric.
The thing I'll say is like, one, we should all unionize. I think, or like unionization is a great thing in terms of just advocating for our labor rights. I would say that, although to your point, the shit don't happen unless somebody been fucking up. But the other thing I will say though is like, this is also why it's important to just do right by people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like at every level, do right by people that you work with, do right by people, you know what I'm saying? Like that work for you, do right by the people who you intersect with, because you know what I'm saying? Like I was very, I think I like even in some of the other stuff that blew up like kind of after this, you know, I had a lot of people basically come back and be like, nah, he ain't lying. Like that happened. And like this person, I know this person, I know I like, you know, and even for both Brittany and I, we know their character, we know where they come from. And we know like when they have stood in front and said something is usually when like they have tried everything else. And so like, I think that a lot of people can underestimate what it means to folks who are around you to consistently be in a fight or to consistently advocate for folks. And even if you lose, you know what I'm saying? Like for what it's worth, while we were there, we didn't get what we were asking for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We had to bounce. And but like even beyond that, people have remembered that and people have looked out for us.
Yeah. Well, also like Eric got spicy on the bird in the most professional.
I got that note a couple times. They like there was the most professional
I was just like, God, this thread is litigious. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is did you do this with an X-Acto knife? You know what I mean? That shit was so good. But then also like Karen praised y'all up top, but I you know, I know we're about to wrap up, but one thing y'all did when you know y'all were fighting for your RSS feed and all that stuff is that y'all really show like this is the inner workings of this game. This is how you know like this shit can easily turn into like the music game. Like you gotta be careful what you're signing. Yeah, exactly. Like you know, and I think like straight up when we negotiated our Spotify contract, that y'all were the people that made us be like, let me read this thing. Let me take you know, they said they were bullshit. And honest to God, we told them no so many fucking times because of y'all. And we ended up getting the deal that we got where we still got all our shit and all of that. Specifically because we was like, dog, we heard that if a motherfucker signs some shit, y'all might do them dirty. So like, what exactly does this mean? You know what I mean? We had to have people like a lawyer look at it and all this shit. And it's, I think y'all, and I know it probably sucks to be in the public eye like that, but y'all publicly going through that. I hope y'all know that y'all really did help a lot of people who ended up with y'all in mind. It helped us be like, we have the tools and the weapons to engage in this on a more fair point, because y'all not gonna have us out here where people are going, oh, y'all sign what you sign. Nah, fuck that.
Right.
Let's talk about this shit now so that we can at least have some level of leverage. And that's really I have to thank y'all just for even being willing to talk about that shit, because a lot of people don't talk about those things, and that's why it keeps happening to other folk.
Right.
Honestly, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And have the luxury, and it's very difficult, but have the luxury and the ability to say no. If it ain't what you want up front, say no. If it's something in there that you are not willing to bend, or if you read something in there and you're like, oh, if that happened, I will want to cut a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Sign the papers.
Because we have opportunities that came along even after Spotify that we said no to. And like I said, it's the ability to say no is so fucking powerful. and it's so rarely afforded to Black and brown people in these white predominant industry, because it's the same industry that is giving somebody $100 million and then telling you your shit is not worth anything.
I mean, but I have to say, like, the fact that
it was 200.
It was 200. That's right. That's good. Good editing though.
But I have to say though, it's amazing that like you all were able to get the deal that you got at Spotify. That speaks to not just your fortitude, but also the quality of your work and the value of your legacy. Not that they define it, but the fact that they weren't going to let y'all walk out that door, because trust me, they let us walk out.
They didn't define it, but they had to recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Like they had to recognize it, and that's what we were all fighting for. Honestly, it means so much to hear that like y'all were able to. Because
we were like be in the car and like having conversations and be like, listen, did you read that thing about the knot?
Yeah, like it'd be a private conversation. We'd be talking,
right? Like we'd be off the air, like, cause I don't listen. I'm gonna read the contract again, cause these motherfuckers ain't gonna like. I don't like that shit. You see how they doing people? Like it. And I know we weren't alone in that, and I'm sure that a lot. I mean, when they were signing people, it was a lot of like, we trying to convince y'all this. Okay, you can have this thing, you can have that thing. I'm like, all right, cause I just don't want y'all trying to get over. And like I said, I think for a lot of people, we internalize like this idea of like either I'm a success or I'm a failure. When it's like I told my friend Bomani when he first got a TV show, when he was first like getting to be on ESPN, and I said, yeah, you got the TV show, and he was like, yeah, but I got to make it successful. I got to do this. I was like, you can't control any of that shit. Like, no offense. You can only control if you're good or bad, but you can't literally control whether people watch it or not. There's a bunch of stuff it's on Amazon right now or something, or HBO, and I click on it and go, damn, this was good. They canceled this. What? Comedy Central let Southside go. What the fuck were they thinking?
Oh gosh.
It's stuff like that where it's like those guys can't control that. But I was like, once you have the show, you're a TV show guy now. So that means you can get another show and you can get another chance at this shit. And I think the resilience is the thing, right? So y'all have the knowledge to make your podcast. So it's like, all right, y'all tripping on the RSS feed. Cool. We'll go back to For Color Nerds. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We wanted to be fine together. We'll be fine on our own. And I think that's the testament. You know what I mean? Like I said, it takes all kinds. Everyone got different lanes and stuff, but that's why, we've been fans of y'all, been rooting for y'all. I don't know what the fuck happened in 2017 with the email.
It's honestly, we did not take, we meant no harm. We figured y'all, it got lost in the shuffle. And also too, this is also before the show had ever came out. So
so I was
nobody had heard of it. Trust me, it was a lot of people who we were just like, hey, please, could you listen to an episode, please? Please convince people we're not coons. Just listen to an episode before we put it out.
I blame my PTSD. Okay, we shouldn't have had that one dude all then. But look,
we're here now. We're happy to be here now.
And I hope y'all come back again, man. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
If you invite us, honestly, this is an institution. You know what I'm saying? Like, and claim it as such. Seriously, you can't tell Black podcasting without talking about this show.
Black podcasters gotta stick together. Tell everybody what y'all doing now, where to find you, that kind of stuff. Because I know, Eric, I know you working with Stitcher right now. I mean, you in the office right now.
Literally.
Literally, I know you want to go home. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, tell everybody.
So we are still co-hosting For Colored Nerds. You can catch that. It comes out every Tuesday, anywhere you get your podcast. For what it's worth, I also took a job. I work for Stitcher. I'm their director of lifestyle podcasting. So it's a lot of my job to kind of help set strategy for what we go after, and then support the deals that we try to create. Try to make sure we don't jam nobody up, like how folks have been in the past. But yeah, so a lot of what I'm doing is honestly just trying to make this show great and support Stitcher and trying to see what shows they will make in the future. So for what it's worth, if you have ideas, that's something folks can reach out to me about. So yeah, Brittany, I know you got a lot of stuff going on too.
Yeah. So as Eric mentioned, we're still co-hosting for Colored Nerds. I also I dabble in other podcasts on the side. Coming up it's March 1st. Coming up at the end of this month is a podcast called HBO Docs Club. So it is an HBO branded podcast where me and my co-host Ronald Young Jr. Go back in the HBO documentaries vault and watch the movies, discuss them, and then also interview the director and usually somebody who appeared in the documentary. So I'm really excited about that because it's been really fun. And
yes,
so many amazing people. What's that?
I said yes, Brittany. HBO. I'm over with HBO too.
Yeah, I'm like, I love that for me too. I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, I've just been doing a lot of writing. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of writing, freelancing. I am just in consulting on other people's shows. I just about to start working. I'm like just beginning to start working on Truth Be Told, which is hosted by Tanya Mosley, who is phenomenal. I've just been doing a lot of. I got a piece coming out soon about one of my favorite aspects of the Gilded Age. I saw in the chat some of y'all watching the Gilded Age. I'm not caught up. I gotta watch last night's episode, but that's my show. I don't know what it is about that show. I do know what it is. It's gossip. It's drama. It's not very loud. And a lot of people shading each other, and that's my
It looks like one of those treacherous white people shows, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
They
like, really go in on each other.
White people are. I mean, I don't want them running anything, but it's good entertainment. They're really good.
It's good. It's in the tea. It's contained. It's just in the tea.
Unlike The Crown, where like, oh, this actually had effect on the world.
Yeah, that's the one where my chest is kind of like when I watch The Crown, my chest.
Yeah, like when I watch like Mad Men or something, I'm like, look at him, he's about to betray the shit out of him on this cigarette promo. That ad ain't gonna go through. You know, fucked up, Don. You trusted the wrong one. I love that kind of stuff. It's kind of low stakes, high stakes at the same time.
Exactly.
I hope one of the documentaries y'all cover is Hookers on the Point because
y'all real talk. Actually,
but they don't really do series. Hookers on the Point was more of a series.
Oh, damn it.
Hookers on the Point.
They didn't do my favorite HBO documentary, which is called Living Dolls, which I used to watch when I was a child, but it was about the child pageant circuit in the South.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow. Oh, that was if you ever seen it's a good. It came out. I mean, this was like 20-something years old, but they put a hairpiece on a baby. The 18-month-old that was in the beauty competition, the baby had a little waterfall piece. I don't know.
All them failed pageant mamas is just trying to relive their dreams to them little babies, man. It was
basically
traumatizing. HBO documentaries. Now I think about it, I don't know how I was that young watching that shit because they were very traumatizing.
Yeah, I used to watch Taxi Cab Confessions regularly.
Oh, I used to watch Taxi Cab Confessions.
Oh my god!
I used to watch Cat House. That's why I
Cat House. Cat House was the shit.
Cat House came on like Sunday night. I was like, let me see what Air Force they be talking about.
Were y'all in the real sex documentary generation? Because that was also traumatizing.
I watched a little bit. Real talk. Actually, some of those are still on. They were on some. I found them on some streaming service. They actually weren't on Max. Maybe they might be now. But like, I remember going back and watching. Back to Family Space. But no, a lot of those real sex documentaries are still hold up. I've rewatched a couple.
I mean, it was a little traumatizing as a kid because I was thinking like real sex is people who are like either having sex or talking about having sex, and it was like we like to pretend to be horses and run around on this ranch, and he just hops on my back with a saddle. I'm like, what this got to do with sex? I'm not.
I don't know. Be like, like I remember it was one episode where there's all these people that just wanted to sit naked in a big tub full of clay that was like near a hot spring. I was like,
this not real or
like what I'm supposed to be looking forward to.
Yeah.
It's not. Cinemax, y'all lied. Like I think as a kid I was disappointed, but as an adult I go, oh, okay, this is interesting. As a kid,
honestly, you know what? It was like more of a podcast than
it was.
It was actually. Like, it was like a news
ahead of its time.
Yeah. Now, deadass, because I will watch the other. I mean, I watched the other stuff too. It was like this wasn't on HBO, it was on Cinemax. But like Red Shoe Diaries, y'all remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
It was like it had like
just basically like there was a show that used to come on after Real Sex with Sue Johansson. They used to come on what's a Canadian channel? It's not Canadian, but it was a Canadian program. The channel was Oxygen, because sometimes they would show things. And it was similar to Red Shoe Diaries. They just showed a little less nudity, but they would have real actors on there. They had Adam Beach on one episode, and the light-skinned guy who was in one of the Lifetime Christmas movies is here.
Wow. Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do to come up. Okay.
You know?
Everybody can't start it. They can't start at Lifetime. Sometimes you got
money spins.
Come on.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, the cash check the same.
Exactly.
They checked exactly the same.
Listen, okay. Well, that was fun, y'all. Hopefully people learned a lot about Brittany and Eric and the Nod and For Color Nerds. Go check out For Color Nerds. It's back every Tuesday. I was listening this today before the show about being a bad Black mom. You know, y'all go listen to us and get the context, and don't think I'm just saying some wild shit. Like as I said, the title, I'm like, but y'all should listen.
Yeah,
no, that's not the whole thing. That's not.
You're not talking about your mama, you know.
Yeah, okay. You're not talking about Precious and Monique's role, okay? But yeah, make sure y'all check that out, and we'll be back later in the week. I know we owe y'all a Walking Dead recap, so we'll probably do it either Thursday or Friday. I told y'all my work week is changing. So until then, I love you.
I love you too, baby.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Bye, Brittany and Eric.
Thank y'all so much.
Anytime. Finally. Yes.
Yay.